This Ram truck is $92,000. This Ram truck is $100,000.
So the car market is cratering right now. We're seeing days of inventory just rise at a lot of these franchise dealers. You have franchise dealers that are begging these manufacturers to help them out because they are having a hard time selling their vehicles, but we're not seeing dealers lower their prices. Well, why is that? Well, you've got a few reasons. The number one, and probably the biggest reason, is greed, right? So think about the time that we just came out of, where, okay, dealers could charge whatever they wanted to for these cars. They could add on markups, they could add on add-ons that people don't even need, and guess what? Consumers would still pay that. So this Goldilocks zone for a lot of these dealers, this is what a lot of them are remembering. And now, when times are good, when you can sell anything for any amount and consumers will buy it, well, that's usually when you bring in a lot of new people to the industry. You think about it like in the real estate market, when sales are really good, velocity of money is moving through the system, when you're having a lot of transactions, well, a lot of people want to get a piece of that pie. So there are a lot of real estate agents that are created during that time. And it's very similar to what has happened in the car market over the last 3-4 years, is that, okay, money was flowing. So you have a lot of new used car dealers that have come into the market. You have a lot of new salespeople that have come into the market from these franchise stores. You have new management that's come in. When times are good, more people enter the market. So you have a lot of these people that are running these businesses that, okay, they only know one kind of car market, and that's where, okay, you just put cars out and people just buy them. It doesn't matter what you price them for, even if you're pricing them for over what market value is on these cars, people will still buy them. Well, times have really changed, but these players in the market, they've never seen a market that looks like this, where times are not so great, where people don't have money, where banks aren't lending as freely as they were, and they're confused. They don't know what to do. Well, you have to lower your freaking prices, but they've never had to do that. So in a lot of cases, a lot of them don't even know that that's an option, right? But greed is a very big thing, a very strong thing. And if a dealer feels like they can still make what they were making on those cars just 12 months ago, 18 months ago, then they're going to still try to get that money. They're going to still try to hit home runs. And here's the problem. There are consumers out there that are not educated. They're not really doing their due diligence to know what they should pay for cars. And there's still a few out there that when they do go buy a car, they're paying full price. They're not trying to negotiate. And those consumers are what are really feeding these dealers to think that, okay, we can still charge this amount, because there's still consumers out there that will pay. It's just they're few and far between, but there's still that little bit of hope every time that consumer comes in and pays sticker price. Okay, well, times might still be good. Let's hold on a little bit longer, and we might not need to cut our prices just yet, even though a lot of these dealers are slow bleeding out. They're still holding on to that hope because customers are still coming in and they're still paying full price when they shouldn't have to right now. Another big reason why, okay, a lot of these dealers aren't lowering the prices is just because they simply can't. So let's go to the new side of things, and then we'll talk about the used side. The used side is what I know. I'm a used car dealer, but let's talk about these franchise stores first. So you think about the MSRPs that are coming out of a lot of these manufacturers. Well, the dealerships, the franchises, they don't pay all that much less than what the suggested price is going to be. There's not really a lot of money to be made if what's traditional in the car market is, okay, when you go to buy a car, they would traditionally get 5 to 10% off of MSRP. So that's what manufacturers know. So the invoice price is going to be a little bit less than that. So there's really not a ton of margin in a lot of these. Where dealerships make a lot of their money is F&I products, add-ons, dock fees. That's all profit stuff where they make money in their repair centers, things like that. So let's get back to just MSRPs being so high coming out of these manufacturers. Well, you go to a dealership and they have hundreds of vehicles. Big franchise dealers, they have lots and lots and lots of cars. And a lot of these cars, because the MSRPs are so high, well, they really need to be lowered $10,000, $15,000, in a lot of cases $20,000 to $25,000 until they're at a place where the dealership is going to be able to move money with this environment right now. Here's the problem. Those dealerships that are massive, they can't just go in and take $10,000, $15,000 off every single one of their vehicles in one sweep. You know how much money that they're going to absolutely lose if they do this. Now, they've made lots of money over the last 3 years, but you know what? They still have to make money now. A lot of that money doesn't just sit in that dealership. They have ownership groups. A lot of them are publicly traded. A lot of that money will go back to shareholders. There's money that moves through the system that they have to continually make. They have bills that they have to pay. They have floor plans. They have credit lines that they have to satisfy. And they can't just go in and just do these massive cuts across the board when they need to right now, because they would just lose so much money. And these big publicly traded companies that have lots of dealerships and these big dealership groups that have tons and tons of franchises, they would probably be okay stomaching some of these losses, but there are a lot of franchises that are small. They have 2 stores. They have probably 500 cars between the 2 stores. If they go in and they cut every one of their vehicles by $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 so they can actually move these cars, that's probably not losses that they can stomach, because they're probably not making $15,000, $20,000 on each one of these vehicles on the actual price of the car. So this is something that they just physically can't do, because it would put a lot of these franchise stores out of business if they cut their prices down to a place where consumers would actually step in and want to buy them. Think about Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram right now. I've recently been to a store that still had 2022 Ram 1500s sitting on their lot. They were cutting them at $18,000, and people still were not buying them. They had a whole row of these white basic Ram 1500s, $18,000 off, and they were still sitting there, and the salesperson that I talked to said they can't give these things away. So that's $18,000 off, and they still can't sell them. What's the price point? Is it $25,000 off? Is it $30,000 off? Dealerships are not going to be able to stomach cutting that much off of all of their vehicles to be able to move the metal and then actually be able to sell some cars. That's not something that they're just able to do. So they can't, in that situation, lower the prices to where they actually need to be to sell them. And then going to the used car side of things, well, you have dealers that have went to these auctions 6 months ago and paid way too much for these cars, because the market looks completely different 6 months ago than it does right here today. It's dropped quite a bit as far as wholesale prices go, but dealers still have cars on their lot that they bought 6 months, 8 months ago. And because they paid way too much for those vehicles, we fast forward to right now, they have way too much in them. They can't cut their prices. It's a very similar situation to where on the new side, where they just have too much money into these cars, and the price point where they can actually sell the cars is much lower than what they have in the cars. And on the used car side of things, it's much more dire, because a lot of these used car dealers, they're not made up of multiple stores. They're small used car dealers just like me. We have 70 cars that we keep on a regular basis. And if I go through and I have to cut all my cars, now I sell cars that are $5,000 and under, but think about the ratio. If I would had to cut all my cars by 20%, that's going to be roughly about $1,000 or more a car. 70 cars, that's $70,000. That's probably not a loss I want to take just like that. So you have a lot of used car dealers in the same situation where, we're not just going to sweep across the whole board and cut cars by $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 to where the consumer is actually going to buy, because we just can't take the loss. That's the thing. We pay too much for our cars, and now we have to try to slowly just trickle them out to customers. But that also means that I can't go buy more cars. That means that I can't put more money on my floor plan. I don't use a floor plan. I'm talking as a used car dealer that's in the situation. They can't put more money on their floor plan because they've already maxed it out. And that really leads me to my next point where, used car dealers that are in the situation, another reason why they can't lower their prices is because they owe too much money on their actual cars that they have on their floor plans. Now, a floor plan is like a credit line. It's like a credit card that dealers will swipe basically every time they buy a car at auction. And just like a credit card, every month it accrues interest. They have interest that they have to pay. And if they bought this car 6-8 months ago, then every month their costs are going up and up and up on that car. But here's the problem. The market values on these cars are going down and down and down. And even so, the market value might be here, but what a customer may actually pay is down here for this car. So you have this inverse spiral that's happening at a lot of these dealerships where, okay, their costs are going up and up and up, and then there's this tipping point where this is how much they can sell the car. But if they don't sell it in a timely manner, well, their costs end up getting way higher than what they can actually sell the car for. And here's the problem with that. A lot of these dealers, they don't have this money to begin with. They're now on the hook for that difference. When they sell this car down here where they can actually sell it for, well, they have to pay their floor plan company this spread, this difference. Because the floor plan, it costs them money. Even if they sell the car immediately, there's fees you have to pay to use a floor plan. So a lot of these dealers, what are they going to do? Well, their floor plan company is going to say, hey, okay, you sold it for this, but you owe us this on it. We need that difference, and you know what? We really need to check the rest of your cars, because if you're getting upside down on this one, let's see what the other one's in. The floor plan companies come and they look at the cars, they do an inventory assessment, mark what the value of the cars are versus what the dealer actually owes for their line of credit. And if that dealer's upside down, well, the floor plan company can come in and help the dealer sell the car. Now, I've talked to some floor plan reps before, and they say help, but really what they're meaning by that is they snatch up these cars, they repossess these cars. I know we talk a lot about repossessions in the car market, but it usually seems like it's on the consumer side. Well, dealers can have their cars repoed too, and we're seeing more and more and more of this pop up at these auctions where the floor plan companies, they'll take cars off of the dealer lot, they'll take them to the auction, they'll dump them for whatever they bring, and then that dealer is on the hook for the difference that they owe. And I can tell you, when they help them sell these cars at auction, these cars are going to bring almost nothing, because every other dealer that's at these auctions knows exactly what I know. That car is at this auction for some reason. If it's coming from an independent dealer, if it's coming from a floor plan company, either it's undesirable, these dealers couldn't sell it because people just didn't want the car, there's something wrong with it the dealer didn't fix, and that's why they couldn't sell it. Either way, there's some kind of problem, some kind of thing that's making this car undesirable. So I don't even look at cars that I see from independent dealers or floor plan companies. So that car, and all these other dealers know the same thing that I know. So this car is not going to bring a fraction of what they initially paid for it. Here's the problem. They have to come up with the rest of that money to satisfy that loan. And a lot of these dealers, they can't do it. So what happens is their floor plans will get cut, or they'll just get canceled altogether. And if a dealer's line of credit gets taken away, well, then they can't buy inventory. If you can't buy inventory, you can't sell any cars. If you can't sell any cars, you can't make any money. If you can't make any money, why are you even in business? So this is going to lead to a lot of these dealerships in this small used car dealer space to go out of business. And we're seeing a lot of this happen right now. But because of this, and because these dealers have to satisfy these floor plans, they don't have the money for the difference, well, they have to keep their prices high. And they can't lower them, because if they lower them, then they have to pay that difference to the floor plan company. And that's just money they don't have. We just talked about this. So this is why those particular dealers, they won't lower their prices, because they can't lower their prices. They need extra money to be able to lower their prices. It's kind of a chicken and egg thing. They need to sell other cars so they can make other cars cheaper so they can satisfy their loans. And it's just not happening right now. So when does it break? When do these dealers break and finally start cutting their prices? Well, there's some dealers that are already doing it. I will say that. A dealer like us, if we're able, we base our prices off what we're able to pay for the cars. So if wholesale values go down, I'm able to buy cars cheaper, then I sell cars cheaper. Just like this one. I mean, it's a Toyota Camry. What is it? A 2008. We're selling it for $3,500. A car like this, 6-8 months ago, we would have had to pay $3,500 at auction. So we got this one probably somewhere around $2,500, and because we're able to buy it for that, we can sell it for $3,500. So there's going to be dealers out there that do move with the market. You just got to be smart. You got to do your research and actually find these kind of dealers. But in most cases, dealers are going to lag wholesale prices in a big way because they want to hold on to what was, that hope of that customer where they can hit that home run. They'll come in, they'll pay sticker price, allow that dealer to make that huge margin that they've been used to. But there are dealers that are not moving with the market that are hurting because of this market too. And in a lot of cases, they're not going to advertise the lower prices. What is the norm in the car market, right? You negotiate for a car. It's so stupid. I wish dealers would just put the price on the car. That's what they take. But that's not how the car market works, right? So even if you're not seeing prices being lowered, just know you might have to ask. There might be a fire sale happening at a dealership local to you, and you'll never know it because they're not going to advertise it. If a dealership is struggling, they're not going to advertise that they're struggling and come buy the cars. That's not the way the car market works. So even if you're not seeing prices lowered right now, prices have been lowered, but you just got to go in, you got to negotiate. And that's another big thing of right now why, okay, if you're just looking online, if you're just window shopping or whatever, you're not going to notice that prices have come down, but they have. You just got to do a little work. You got to go in the building. I know people would rather go to the dentist. They would rather be hit in the face with a rubber hammer than to go into a dealership and have to talk numbers. I get it. But if you don't do the things, you're not going to be able to see that retail prices are coming down. They have come down. But I will say, if you wait longer, the longer you wait, prices will get better. Car market's not getting any better anytime soon. I agree with you. Prices are too high. They are coming down, but they're too high. So keep your cars running longer. There is a path to lower prices in the future from now. If you just wait, you be patient, you'll get a better price 6 months from now than you'll get right now. So just be patient. Prices are coming down. They're going to. I know you're not seeing it, but believe me, prices are coming down. You can go and negotiate for it, but they will get better. Car market's getting worse, and it's going to continue to get worse.